Kia ora. In this video, we're looking at how to get started with large language models and prompting. In our previous video, we explored how to create generative AI images using prompts. Prompts, like we explored, are essentially requests that we put into an AI system to get an output that is specific to your needs. In the case of large language models like ChatGPT and Copilot, it can support a wide range of different use cases. It can help you create a better understanding of a concept or even assist you with tasks like creating a lesson plan or an email. Prompts can help elicit information. It can generate insight or even produce creative ideas and output, and all of this tailored to your needs. You can ask AI questions. You can ask it to create detailed information. And based on your output, you can create different types of output, or your input, I should say, you can create different types of output. So, for example, you can prompt the tool to create a exercise for a lesson on Excel. You can even ask it to generate the Excel document that the students might actually use in their exercise. So, prompts you are used to guide the AI in its output. You need to guide it using the information that you input, and this can be based on the tone, the style, and the quality that you're looking for. So, while there isn't any single formula for creating the best output or creating the best prompts, the more details that you can put in and the better directions you can give it, the more likely it will give you the results you're looking for. The more content or context you're providing, the more accurate the output. So, by refining your prompts, you can make the most of what AI has to offer. So, no matter what you're looking for that, from AI, by looking at your prompting and what you're asking, you can get better results. And this is what we're going to look at in this video. Providing specifics is important to achieving the best results. As a well constructed prompt, you need to have three elements. This includes the task or the action, in other words, what you want the AI to do, the specific details or context around this task, which is the information that helps guide the AI in its response, and the desired output. This is the format that you're expecting from the AI. The first step in getting the tool to develop what you're looking for is being very clear on your goal. Explaining the task or the action you want the AI to perform helps it with the output. So, for instance, instead of saying, I want an interactive activity that I can use to teach generative AI to educators, you might want to expand on that and give it more detail. So, a better response would be, or prompt, I should say, can you suggest some interactive learning activities I could include in an online facilitated short course that helps educators use generative AI in their teaching? You can also include relevant details and materials that it could use in helping it develop the output. This could include specific information that you want the AI to incorporate, or you could even provide content for it to work with. For example, I could upload a course outline to help AI understand a lot more detail about the course that I'm trying to develop these interactive activities for. Also, if you need the AI to analyze, compare, or integrate certain information or ideas, you might want to put that as well in your prompt. So, being precise about the output or format can ensure that the response you're looking for meets your expectations. So, for example, you might ask it to output in a bullet format or even a table. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate some basic prompting using Copilot. I've chosen to use Copilot because, like Magic Studio in the other example, we don't have to sign up for anything to use it. So it's really good, accessible tool for us as beginners. However, as we progress a little bit further in this course, you might want to consider signing up for a large language model of your choice. This will give you more access to different features and the latest models. For example, Copilot, the version we're going to be using without any sign up, doesn't allow you to upload um, any documents. So it's one of the limitations, and even the output can be constrained because we're using the free open version. So in the next slide, I'll take us through how to do some basic prompting. So depending on if you've used Copilot before, you might get a slightly different interface when you first go into copilot.microsoft.com. But eventually, if you go through to the chat section, you should see a dialog box like I do at the bottom. So sometimes it might ask you to set up your name and the type of interaction or the voice that you're using. Sometimes you'll be able to see this straight away. So in this example, I'm going to show you or guide you through some prompts that I'm using to interact with Copilot. You can play along with your own screen. So if you want to open Copilot at the same time and use the same prompts, you can copy and paste them from the activity below in our course, or you can just create your own as we go. So remember, no two responses are going to be the same. So the questions that I'm asking, you might see something slightly different, probably not completely different, but similar. So if you ask a different question, obviously it'd be quite different. So I'm going to use the prompt that we just talked about in the last slide. It's going to be, can you suggest some interactive learning activities that I could include in an online, non-facilitated short course that helps teachers use generative AI? So while the Copilot is generating the results, as I said, yours can look quite different. So every time I regenerate, I might get a slightly different answer. In this answer, you might see these dots or these numbers in here, or you might not. For mine, I've got references at the bottom that I can go to find more information. So, for example, um, AI driven data analysis, teachers can use generative AI to generate student performance data. I can click on that and it will go to more information about that. It could be a reference or it could be more information. So looking at this, I can prompt it. So remember, prompting is like a conversation. You can follow up, you can refine information, and you can ask it for more detail. So, for example, looking at this, I might want some more information about this prompt design workshop. So I might go into it and say, let's see, let's think of a good question that I might want to follow up on. Let's say, can you suggest ways to implement? Can you suggest ways to implement the prompt design workshop? So let's have a look at what it says. So in here, it's giving me some ideas, some activities that I could use, some examples, um, as well as on hands-on prompting, crafting activity. One thing to think about with this answer, it sort of has forgotten that it's um, a not facilitated activity. So maybe the fact that I've said it's a workshop, it might have thought it's going to be a facilitated workshop. So this is probably something to think about when you are engaging with AI. It can also get a little bit confused and sometimes needs further refining on how I could do this as a non facilitated activity. But all in all, I quite like these ideas. I could ask it for examples. So, for example, here, examples of effective prompts, I could say, can you give me examples of well crafted and not well crafted prompts and their outcomes. Let's get rid of the outcomes that I could use. And so you can ask it for content that you might use in your presentation. So I've got some poorly prompted, some good prompts and some poor prompts. So, for example, make a lesson plan is not a good one because it doesn't explain what you're wanting. It's too vague. So it's really good to create some ideas and content. I could even ask it to create. Can you create a 5-question quiz to test students' understanding of prompts that I could use at the end of this workshop, and it would give me some quiz questions as well as some answers. So, like all AI, it's really important that you check the results for accuracy as well as relevance. So, for example, the example that I've just went through with the workshop might not work in terms of my non-facilitated short course, but I could adapt it. So remembering to think that the results you get from AI, you put in your own context, you refine it. So very seldom would I just copy and paste something like this. I might adapt it obviously to my needs and my students' needs. I can also ask it for more information. So, for example, at the beginning of my comments or my information, I got some websites that I could go to get some more information. I could ask um, Copilot for some additional information or even some academic articles that I could use. So, can you suggest some academic articles that could be used for extra reading for this course? Okay, don't worry too much about your spelling, it will generally overlook those issues. So, what it's going to do now is going to give me some articles. So, one of the things that we find with generative AI, especially, is that it's likely to hallucinate, especially on academic references. So, in this example, it's given me the articles that I can go and look up this information. So, for example, the Hindu doesn't look quite like an academic article as such, not in terms of a research article. So it's important to first of all make sure that these are real articles, but also it doesn't guarantee the quality of this information. So these little summaries that they give you might not be correct because they haven't necessarily checked the real articles, and so you can't rely on them. So this is really important, especially if you're using this in an academic sense, that articles that you get from generative AI are not always reliable. So this is something we'll talk a little bit more about at the end of the course. So, but that's a basic example of how we can use Copilot to do some prompting. I'm just going to go back to the next screen that talks a little bit about some of the bigger things to think about with prompting. So, to wrap up this quick introduction to prompting in large language models, it's important to think about the information that you put into your prompts. Make sure that your prompts are clear and that they give you that it gives the AI context. You give specific information that you're looking for, give it examples, and then also ask revisions if it's not what you're looking for. So while a broad request can give you some really interesting information, if you spend a little bit more time perfecting your request, it can give you better responses. As we go through this course, I'll talk a little bit more around how to improve your prompts, as well as some of the things to think about in terms of what you're inputting in terms of prompting and keeping yourself and your data safe.